Happy Monday. Thank you for joining me for this week's Unlocking the Magic of Leadership. Now, when I was a kid, my dad quit drinking alcohol. And part of the byproduct of being raised by a recovering alcoholic is I went to a lot of Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. And I can remember at the end of every meeting, they would say the Serenity Prayer. Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Now, as a kid, I didn't think anything of this. But as I grew up, I remember thinking that it was kind of odd. You see, my dad's not a religious man. And so I would see him in moments of stress or moments of frustration, and he would be saying this prayer. And one day, in the wisdom of my teen years, I asked him,
I said, hey, so who are you praying to?
And he explained that words have power. And these words helped him to focus on what was really important, and that was the things that he could control. Because when we start focusing on all of the things that we can't control, and we start actually trying to control those, then what happens is we start pouring down our energy into a black hole of nothingness. And the only thing that happens is we get tired, we get frustrated, and we start feeling helpless. As we move into the election and the results that are going to be coming tomorrow and the impact of those results, I want to remind you to focus on the things that you can actually control. If your candidate wins, celebrate loudly. If your candidate does not, it's okay to accept that and to have feelings about that. When we think about grief, a lot of times we think about grief as being something that we only experience when somebody dies. But grief is the loss of something as well. And so there are a lot of emotions tied up into the election this year for varying different reasons, but there are a lot of emotions tied up. If we have the experience that our candidate does not win, there is going to be grief. There might be anger. There's going to be frustration, all of these different pieces. So give yourself space to be able to process those. I have friends that have not planned anything for the 6th, 7th, and 8th because they understand that depending on how the election goes, they may not be okay with the results and they may need some time. Considering our magic model, the control your chaos, a big piece of that is giving ourselves space to feel our feels and not judging the emotions that we're experiencing. And when we think about resilience, that is also what resilience is. It's not that we're going to avoid all of the hard things. It's that we're going to move through them with intention. As we move into this next week, be kind to each other. I have very, 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 very strong feelings about this election. And if you have followed any of my videos, then you know I am rooting for Madam Vice President. I also realize that people that I love and admire are rooting for the other side. And that is something that our relationships have had to work through to get there. We have had some pretty difficult conversations. And in those conversations, it's that if I feel a certain way, I need the space and the respect to be able to feel that way. The same thing for them. So as we move through this week, be kind and remember to focus on those things that you can actually control. When we consider it, that sphere of influence, I believe that was Covey that came up with that sphere of influence is a lot smaller than we think it is. Don't pour energy into the black hole of nothingness. It won't do you any good. All right, y'all, be kind to each other this week. As we move forward, we got this. I'll see you on the other side. Have a wonderful week.